Until the 1890s, hanging was the primary method of execution in the U.S. The steps they took were the following. Hands and legs are secured and they are blindfolded. The noose is placed around the neck with a knot behind the left ear. The execution takes place when a trapdoor is present and the prisoner falls through. They will use a sandbag of the same weight as the prisoner. The rope had to be boiled and stretched, and the knot should be lubricated to improve a smooth execution. The prisoner's weight should cause a rapid rupture. If roped too long, the inmate could be decapitated, and if it goes wrong, the execution could take up to 45 minutes. Hanging is still used in Delaware and Washington, but the last hanging that took place was January 25, 1996 in Delaware. New York built the first electric chair in 1888. They thought it was a more humane method in execution than hanging. They executed William Kemmler in 1890. He was the first ever. Electrocution was used in Nebraska, but in 2008 the court voted it cruel and unusual, so they banned it. The person is shaved and strapped to chair, legs, and arms. Metal skull-caped sponge moistened with saline. Sponge not to be too wet for it might shorten the circuit. Prisoner isn't blindfolded. 500 to 2,000 volts are given. Turned off when the body seems to have relaxed. The doctor checks if the heart is still beating. If it is, another jolt is given. The tissue swells, steam or smoke rises, the smell of burning. In 1924, gas was introduced as a more humane way for executing their inmates. Nevada came up with this. G. John was the first executed by lethal gas. They tried to pump gas into John's cell, but it didn't work because it escaped. That's why they created the chamber. Today, 5 states offer lethal gas. Federal court in California found it cruel and unusual. Last used was on March 3, 1999 in Arizona. Person strapped to chair in airtight chamber. Below the chair rests a pair of sulfuric acid typically affixed to the inmate so doctor can pronounce inmate dead. Once everyone leaves the chamber, the room is sealed. The warden then gives the signal to the executioner to release crystals, which release hydrogen gas. Most prisoners try to hold their breath. Inmate doesn't lose consciousness fast. There is pain and an extreme anxiety. In 1977, Oklahoma adopted the lethal injection method. Charles Brigham was executed by lethal injection in Texas on December 7, 1982. Today, 37 of 38 states that have the death penalty use this method. Inmate usually bound to a gourmet, and a member of the execution team positions several heart monitors on his skin. 2 needles, one is a backup inserted into usual veins, usually into the arms. First, a harmless saline solution that is started immediately. Warden signal, curtain is raised exposing inmate to the witnesses in the adjoining room. Inmate is given an anesthetic that puts inmate to sleep. Next flows pabulin or pancuronium bromide that paralyzes the entire muscle system and stops the inmate's breathing. Death results from anesthetic overdose and respiratory and cardiac arrest while condemned person is unconscious.